Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. I'm here today with two of my colleagues, but we're going to just quickly tell you who we are. My name is Sam Juarez, and I am a program manager here in the South Bend main campus. And so my role is to help share information about the Dublin and Galway programs, as well as tell you about the application process and just any information that you might need before you go, as well as help you prepare for the experience once you have committed to going. Zoe and Robert, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Yep. So my name is Zoe. I'm the program manager for the Galway program, and I work out of Kylemore Abbey as well, which is where I am currently. If you can see, if you've been to Kylemore Abbey, there we are. But yeah, so I work in the Galway side of things, so with NUIG and all things in the West.
Cool. And my name is Robert Black. I work here in Dublin. I won't show the view out my window because it's not nearly as nice as the one that Zoe has behind her. But we're located here in the heart of the city of Dublin, just on Marion Square. And we look after our three Dublin universities, Trinity College, UCD, and DCU up in the north.
Thank you both. Okay, so I do have a presentation for you all today. So give me 1 second to share my screen. All right. Here we go. Okay, so this is a study abroad in Ireland information session. Welcome. So the Notre Dame campuses in Dublin and in Kylemore. And so this is a photo of both of them while our program is in Galway. The Notre Dame property is at Kylemore, and Zoe will share with you later what that means for you all who choose to study in Galway. And then the O'Connell House, the famous blue door. This is a photo of it. Robert, do you want to give information about the O'Connell House and what students can expect in terms of studying in Dublin and their interaction with the house?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Dublin program is a bit different, and this fits the Galway program as well. We kind of have a similar model. It's a bit different from other European gateway locations where it's a hybrid program. So you're doing the majority of your coursework at a host institution, and you'll actually have the opportunity, whether you're in Galway or here in Dublin, to take a few classes that are offered through Notre Dame. So each program has a mandatory course, which we'll talk a little bit more later. But both the Global Gateway in Dublin and the Global Center in Kylemore are kind of like the hubs of student activity while you're here. It's places where we'll meet for dinner, for a study space, just a place to kind of that's your home while you're here. And we have teams at both locations that are dedicated to looking after you across your semester, both academically, socially, and personally. And we are all of us here are very excited to get to meet each and every one of you when you come abroad to us. So you'll take some classes here at the Gateway and Center, and we'll be here kind of to work with you on your journey while you're abroad.
Thank you. Zoe, do you want to talk about Kylemore, where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So that's Kylemore Abbey, as you can see. Our Global Center is that little wing on the right. And there's actually a glass box on top of it now. If anyone's been, you might have seen it. So similarly to what Robert said, you'll be doing the majority of your semester at NUIG, which is based in Galway City. However, you'll have multiple trips out to Kylemore Abbey. So that's kind of your second base, I suppose, similar to O'Connell House. And I myself live in Galway City most of the time, so I'd be there on the ground for anything you need, academically, socially, as Robert was saying. But we do also have the Kylemore Abbey Global Centers where we have more staff members. So you kind of have the two bases, one in the city and one outside the city, but most of your time will be at NUIG.
Thank you. All right, so learning through the soles of your feet. So as a part of these programs, it's really the experiences and the opportunities that are available to you that students end up feeling a really strong connection and bond with each other and the host city. And so really, I tell students this, I'm not kidding, probably every day. The reason that I'm such a fan of these programs is because you really get the best of both worlds and that you have a full integration into an Irish campus life. And so you can join their clubs and their societies, you can volunteer, but then you also get the comfort of having the Notre Dame family aspect to it. And so you all will be able to go on certain trips together that are coordinated by Zoe and or Robert. And so really it's kind of a fantastic opportunity to push you out of your comfort zone, because you are living and going to school with local Irish students, but then you also do have the courses that you do take at the ND Center. So whether you're taking the literature course with Zoe and Catherine in Galway, or the Introduction to Ireland course with Kevin and Robert and that team in Dublin, you do have the opportunity to kind of exist in these two communities that are both really rich in terms of really trying to integrate you into the Irish way of life. And then obviously you'll have any meals together, you'll have mass, and you'll be able to experience Ireland and all it has to offer, including its weather patterns as a group. And so students really do enjoy that. Zoe and Robert, is there anything that you'd want to add about this?
Yeah, just to add about this, the weather patterns, it's sunny year round, 75 degrees from January till December, nothing to worry about there. No, I will say we do get our fair share of rain, but certainly nothing as brutal as a South Bend winter. So you'll be avoiding one half of that, whichever semester you're here. And we make up for it, I think, with some fantastic landscapes. Sam was just mentioning about our trips. So these trips are field trips that we bring you overnight that are included as part of your program. So they come at no additional cost to you, that the entire program goes on together. We really do try and share some incredible corners of the island that you wouldn't be able to see as a tourist. That's really what we don't want you to feel like when you're leaving Ireland, that you were just here for 4 months as a tourist. We want you to feel like you've lived here, that you got to see kind of the hidden Ireland, the pieces that, you know, living here kind of conveys that in a way that maybe just visiting here wouldn't. And so it's very variegated. There are opportunities for people who are interested in all breadths of life. So yeah, I think just a really fantastic opportunity, regardless of what you're interested in, to kind of jump in and get to know a country in a way that you might not on like a week long or even a study abroad long experience.
Zoe, is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean,
Right.
it's pretty countrywide, like both either program, like you're going to get so much out of it. And we do both do the weekend trips and stuff. So yeah, no, just perfect. Yeah.
So here are the four host universities that we partner with. So in Dublin, we have Trinity College Dublin, University College Dublin, and Dublin City University. And then at Galway, we have National University of Ireland, Galway. At the end of this meeting, I'm going to put in a chat. It's in Ireland FAQ questionnaire that Robert, Zoe, and I created just to help answer some of the really common questions that we get about these programs. It is currently on the website. So in addition to that, after this meeting, I'll go show you all the website, because there's some parts of it that I think students often miss just because it's maybe not the most obvious thing, just to really help you to start researching which university might be the best fit for you. But these are the four universities that we partner with. So these are approximate program dates. These were based on the dates that we had several years ago. So like right now, we're still even learning some of the spring dates. And so COVID has really thrown a little bit of a wrench into the smooth operation that we've had in terms of knowing the dates way ahead of time. But just to give you all an idea, August to December in the fall, in the spring, sometime in January to the beginning or middle of May. Again, these are really approximate, not final in any way, but just again, to give you all an idea of that.
Just to quickly interject here, there also is a DCU semester in the autumn that just came on stream this year, which is why we don't have a date in there just yet. So DCU, like the other three universities, both semesters fall in spring.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Trinity College Dublin. Robert, do you want to talk about this in terms of the courses of study?
Yeah, absolutely. So the two universities that we're talking on this slide, so Trinity College Dublin and UCD, those are our longest running study abroad partners here in Ireland. We've been running them since both of them since 1998. And both of them are fantastic universities. Huge number of courses, which they call modules here, classes that are available for people to take, to the point where we can accommodate students from basically any major. Now, when you're kind of feeling out which university is best for you, a couple of helpful notes to consider. So at Trinity, there are no business courses offered. Now, this doesn't mean that business majors can't attend if you have a second major or are looking to fill up on non-business school electives or fulfilling a minor. So we can take students from all majors. There just aren't classes necessarily that fit into every single slot. But there are theology courses available if you're looking to knock out that second theology requirement. University College Dublin is very similar, kind of, again, accommodate students from any major. There are business courses available. It's the longest standing partnership with the business school here in Ireland particularly finance, ITAU, accounting. We have classes in all of those if you are interested in doing that. There just aren't any Theo courses available. So if you're looking to knock out that second development Theo, you just can't do that at UCD. But there are core requirements in philosophy, in history, in social science, in art, in literature. So anything that you need to knock out of core requirements, UCD can cover everything except for theology. But both of these universities really can take students from any major. And Sam, Zoe, and I, regardless of what university you're thinking about going to, are always happy to sit down and have a chat with you just to talk through what place might suit your academic needs best.
So for NUIG, I will say it's very similar in terms of the course offerings. However, we're finding that this tends to be just a really great fit for the pre-professional studies students and any Irish language majors. But really, this program, it could also be open to any major. There is a unique credited research opportunity here that we don't have with our other programs. And so certainly I would say that Galway tends to be a pretty good, the phrase I'm looking for, like catch-all for students who are just looking for a program in, in a city where they can take classes in English and there's no shortage of courses. At the end of this meeting, I'm happy to help show you all how you could go about looking at the courses that other Notre Dame students have taken in the past. The document that we have as a course listing is just a very, very useful tool. Robert, do you want to talk about DCU?
Yeah, absolutely. So DCU is a bit similar to NUIG, except that it is a bit more restricted in terms of who can actually study here. So DCU, which is one of the three Dublin universities, is open to students just in computer science and engineering, or ITAU, so BAN, BTech, or any of those majors that are in ITAU in Mendoza School of Business. So there is a kind of a core set of classes, both semesters, that students can take in those majors. And then there are a few electives here and there. So there's a small offering of philosophy classes, a very small offering of second theologies, and things of that nature. And then again, all these academics are supplemented by the classes that are offered through the center. So Dublin Senior University, unlike the other three, it has a major restriction on it, and it's just for computer science and engineering students or anyone who has a major through the ITAU department.
Perfect, thank you. All right. So courses, do you want to talk about the courses that are available through the O'Connell House?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are courses that are available if you are at one of the three Dublin universities. The same courses are available for every student who studies abroad here in Dublin. The first is the mandatory program course, and both Dublin and Galway have one of these. Ours, as Sam mentioned earlier, is Kevin Whelan's Introduction to Ireland course, which takes a look at the progress of Irish history from 1798 to the present. And Kevin will always tell you it's not strictly a history class because it looks really at every facet of Irish life and society from 1798 until now. And as you can see, it's cross-listed a bunch across a bunch of different departments: history, anthropology, Irish studies, sociology. It counts now in the new core for the liberal arts 5 or 6 requirement. It's also an intensive writing course. And then if you're a history major, or if you are in the Keough School and are looking for a European Studies class, it fulfills upper level electives in both of those majors. So really covers a lot of bases in terms of core requirements and major requirements, depending on what you need for it to count as. So that's the one mandatory course. And then normally we would have 2 other optional offerings. And one of those is Beginning Irish 1. So Ireland, predominantly English speaking, but we do have our own language here, which is Irish. And it's a great way to experience the country in a way that you definitely wouldn't if you were just here for a short period of time. You'll see on every sign here in Ireland, it's written out in English, but then also in Irish. And the recovery of the Irish language has really been a huge touch point as Ireland gained its independence in the 1920s, and then as it moved into kind of mature statehood, it's been a topic of debate ever since then. So it's a great way to kind of experience that part of the culture, is to take this Beginning Irish 1 class. It's one of the most popular classes we have on offer, highest rated as far as I know class on the SIF system in the 4 years it's been running. So it's just a fantastic 4 credit immersive language experience. There's no previous experience required with the Irish language, no previous language requirement required either. Elaine, who teaches the class, is fantastic, so accessible, and students tend to really like taking that class. And then the third class that we normally have is a literature course. And so either Barry McRae or Declan Kybridge will be teaching some section of 20th century Irish literature. And that class will count toward the liberal arts 4 requirement, or as an English major class if you need that as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the next calendar year in terms of classes that we have on offer through the Gateway. And I'll turn it over to Zoe, which I think the next slide is the Kyle Moore class.
Yep, so this is the West Irish Literary Imagination, which is taught by Catherine Wilson, who works for the Keough Institute and is based in Dublin and in Galway, and she comes on the trips with us. So it's a mandatory class, it's required, but you take it as a cohort, which is very nice. It's once per week. We kind of figure out what night works best for everyone based on schedules. And it says there it fulfills a core literature requirement, and it also can count towards, if you're an Irish studies major, Irish language major, that will count towards that as well. And it just sort of complements the field trips we go on. So we tend to assign readings kind of based on what field trips we're doing. So for example, Catherine will have them read Sing right before we go to the Aran Islands, or Yeats before we go to Sligo. And it just gives you kind of a more rounded appreciation of Irish culture and politics and history and language. So it's just a great class and nice to bring everyone together for it.
Thank you. So campus accommodation. You all will live on campus. Also, depending on the volume, I know in Galway, for example, next semester, we have a couple of students who are off campus, who are not very far. But regardless, you will be in apartments that are dorm style. And so more often than not, you'll have your own bedroom with your own bathroom, but you'll be sharing a living room and a kitchen space and a common room and laundry room. But really the experience, I've heard such positive things about the living arrangement. And so if you have any particular needs, please let us know. But this is kind of what you can expect. You will be given a stipend to defray some of the expenses of living abroad because you don't have a meal plan. And so you do have a stipend in order to buy food out or buy food to cook and prepare. And so, yeah, I do want to give time to Robert and Zoe if there's anything about the accommodations that you might want to share with students that you think would be important.
Oh, sorry, you could have gone first.
I was just going to say for Galway, in the past, what we've done is you're kind of split up. So you're not actually in an apartment with other Notre Dame students. So we try to put you in the way Goldcrest works, and it might be similar in Dublin, is you have apartments, and then within apartments, you have your own room and ensuite, and you share the living space. So in the past, we've put students with other Irish students or international students. Because of COVID this year, we're keeping all the students together. So we have 2 apartments for this fall, and they're all the Notre Dame students. And then as Sam was saying, we have Goldcrest, and then Westwood is brand new built accommodation just up the road, student accommodations. So we'll just have kind of pockets there, but more often than not, in most years, you'd be kind of mixed with Irish students and other international students as well.
Yeah, and it is, as Zoe mentioned, it is very similar in Dublin. We even this semester, it's random placement, so students live with other Irish students and other international students, which is a fantastic way, in fact, a better way than lectures necessarily, to meet other Irish students while you're here. And again, just to echo, everyone has their own bedrooms and their own bathrooms, which I think is normally a huge selling point. And then, sharing a kitchen together. So you kind of have your own space where you can go and close the door at night and, have that space to yourself, but then also you're not isolated off campus or kind of away from the action. You are, just in the heart of the city on campus with other students, getting to know new people and kind of having that new experience of meeting people from the country that you are living in, which is, I think, a really fruitful part of the opportunities here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you both. Campus life. Who wants to talk about this?
So I think I was just talking about living with Irish students as a way to meet them. And I think the very best way to meet our other Irish and other international students is the clubs and societies. So their clubs are what we would call like our sports in the US, and their societies are our clubs. So just a small little translation there. And it's very similar to Notre Dame, where there are clubs and societies for just about anything you could think of. There are food and drink societies, sports teams, there's ultimate frisbee, which I know Zoe was a part of, but soccer, the Gaelic sports of hurling, Gaelic football, rugby, anything they're interested in, they have. They have societies that are tailored toward different majors. So anything that you can stick your toe in while you're here, we really do encourage you to do that, because that's a great way that not only to meet other students, but also a lot of times clubs and societies will have subsidized trips around Ireland that you can participate in, again, to kind of really immerse yourself in the country while you're here. And then the caveat to that is once you're in these clubs and societies, you often get a student discount card that gets you discounts at basically every type of establishment across Ireland. I think the only 2 places that don't have strict student discounts are pubs and grocery stores. But besides that, you can really get student discounts everywhere. And it's about plugging you guys into the student culture here in Ireland, which is in some ways very similar to what it's like in the US, in some ways very different to what it's like in the US. But that's, I think, the challenge and the opportunity of studying abroad is to engage with that kind of new way of studying, that new way of living, that new way of being, and really succeeding and learning how to succeed in that system. So we, as I said at the beginning, are here to support you from day 0 to the end, and we'll be here kind of talk through all of the challenges you might encounter across the semester. But having studied abroad here myself, and Zoe studied here as well, is a very fun place to do university, and we are always excited, I think, seeing what our students encounter while they're here and the experiences that they get to have. So know that that's all here waiting for you to get plugged into once you touch down.
Thank you. Zoe, was there anything you wanted to add about Galway in terms of clubs and societies, or anything else in terms of student life?
I don't know. No, I mean, just echoing what Robert said, like it's just the best way to meet people. And I think it's a great way to meet Irish students outside of the classroom, where in the classroom you might be a bit more kind of focused in and sort of insular in some ways, but in clubs it's just completely inclusive, and everyone's welcome. I know in Galway, very popular with the study abroad students is the Mountaineering Club, which go on hikes every Sunday, and I think you have to pay like it's 5 or 10 euro or something, and they take you out to Connemara, and then you go hike for the day, and then you go have a drink in the pub and then you head back. And trad sock also, so traditional music if you're interested in that. But yeah, like it's the best way to meet people. When I studied abroad, I didn't go to Notre Dame, so I didn't have a program. So I did everything by myself. And the only way I met people was through playing ultimate frisbee or doing clubs. And they're still my best friends today. So yeah, just take advantage of as much as you can, really.
Awesome. Thank you both. All right. Community-based learning and service opportunities.
Yeah, so in Dublin, while we don't have one this semester, we're hoping that we'll be scaling us back up starting in the spring. A semester-long service community-based learning project that you can elect into if you so like. It's not a required part of the program, but basically we partner you with one of our sites. We have some elementary schools that we work with, an adult daycare center, a tutoring center for immigrants and refugees. So we do have a number of sites across the city that we partner you with. And then it's a commitment of 2 to 3 hours a week, plus a journal that you work on across the semester. And then on top of that, here, we have a partnership with Barrettstown, which is a serious fun camp in Kildare, which is about an hour away from Dublin. And we go out for a weekend and run basically a summer camp for children with severe childhood illnesses, either chronic or terminal, and their families. And it's just a really rewarding experience. One of the favorite weekends of every semester that we go on. Just getting to interact with young kids really does inject life into you, regardless of where you are on your journey. And so those are the opportunities that we'll have available. Once you're accepted, we'll talk through kind of the process of indicating your interest and getting you plugged into those opportunities. But just know that they're here for you. I know that in Galway as well, there is kind of a tailored service program that I think Zoe will talk about now as well.
Yeah, so we do a few service trips kind of as a group. So generally during the Thanksgiving weekend, we spend that in Kylemore, and we try to go do something in Connemara together. But we do have opportunities to volunteer during the semester. So that's through a program called Alive, which is through NUIG. So once you get your student ID number and everything, you can create an account on Alive, and they show you tons of different opportunities for volunteering. We have students working with the Club Scouts in Galway this year. We've had students volunteer from anything from like the hospital to Galway Autism to helping with the Galway Hooker Sailing Club. And a Galway Hooker is a boat. And you can go, and they've been restoring boats that are hundreds of years old. And yeah, so it's sort of, again, it's something that we'll help with and will get you off the ground. But once you kind of choose what you want to do, it's up to you to then pick the hours and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Great, thank you both. So advising for study abroad. So as we mentioned, really all majors are welcome to participate in these programs. However, we do advise that you consult with your advisors, your deans and DUSs, to just get an understanding of your academic plan. You just want to make sure that you know the classes that you should be taking during which semester, and really indicate your interest in being abroad. The deans and DUSs have been, advising students in being abroad for a pretty long time. And so they might even have their own recommendations just based on where they've seen students go. But really, if you have any particular questions about your major going to a particular place, do not hesitate to ask us about that. Trying to think. So if you have any particular questions about academics or courses, I put Robert's name and email as well as Zoe's. You can reach out to them or me, but I definitely also encourage you all to visit our website. I'll go through a brief tutorial of it, but really, I think there is just so much information on there. But of course, if you have any questions, we are here to help answer those questions about courses and really just in general, anything about the programs. the application process. So the applications are due right now, or they're due right now. They're open right now, and they are due November 1st. So really, it's just a matter of combing through all the information that we've shared with you today, plus what's on the website, and just finding what's going to be the best fit. The application consists of short answer questions, which now you can submit either by writing 300 words per short answer, or in a 1-minute video per question, or do a 3-minute video answering all the questions. We understand that, not everyone thinks that they're the best writer, and that's okay. And so we wanted to give you all another option. So take the time to answer those. I've been meeting with students pretty much every day now for the last few weeks. And the pieces of advice that I've shared with students are to really take the time to know which university and which program might be a best fit for you. So if you want to apply to both Dublin and Galway, your answers to the short questions shouldn't be copy and pasted, because then it's not specific enough as to why X university and X location is a good fit for you. So really take the time to visit the host university websites, take the time to ask Robert and Zoe questions about things, because really, if you could copy and paste an answer to one question, and I could apply that short answer question to any other program, it's just not specific enough. I think in general, we understand when we read the applications that students are really interested about being in a new culture and about traveling, which is so important and a really big part of the study abroad experience. But at this point, because you're applying, we're just going to assume that you are interested in that. And so I do ask that you, again, focus more on an academic fit, or any opportunities to advance your professional career, any personal growth and development that you want to do. I would focus more on that. So feel free to ask questions about that as well. For TCD, we do require an academic reference. And that isn't because it's something that we require, it's because it's something that Trinity College Dublin does. And so that's why that's there, in case anyone was wondering. And you'll also need your DUS and advising dean approvals. It isn't a letter of recommendation or a character reference or anything like that. It really is just does the student have your permission to study abroad in this program based on this major? And they say yes or no. I think they also answer the question, does the student have permission to go in the alternate semester, yes or no? And so again, talking to them is just kind of helpful, because then they're at least aware that you want to go abroad. And then finally, you have a rector reference that, again, isn't any kind of character reference or letter of recommendation. It is just a 3 yes or no question questionnaire. And so yeah, it's pretty straightforward. If you want this to be explained in more detail, we did record an application process meeting. We recorded it, I think it was like on Monday or Tuesday, and one last night that will be on the website probably a week from now, because Zoom takes time to give us the recordings, but we do go through this in more detail. And so I definitely recommend that you all watch that as well if you didn't attend the live session. Website resources. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, but I will share with you course information. I'll put in the chat the Ireland program's FAQ. But really, I hope that you all are able to take the time to visit the host university websites and just learn about clubs and societies that you might be interested in, the places to volunteer, any research opportunities, any kind of community engagement, because really there are so many opportunities and options. And so it really just comes down to what you're interested in and what you're passionate about, and really how you want to create your experience. And obviously Robert and Zoe are there on site to help point you in the right direction if you have any kinds of questions about that. These are more opportunities to come to Ireland. Robert, do you want to talk about the Dublin Summer Program?
Yeah, so just briefly, in addition to the 2 semester program, that fall and spring semester programs that we offer, we have a number of summer programs across the Gateway and the center that we just throw in there just to give people a breath of what is available to them. So over the summers, we have three large summer programs that are offered, academic programs that are offered through the Gateway. The first is a Dublin Summer Program, which focuses on kind of your core requirements. So history, social science, so that liberal arts 5-6 or liberal arts 4. You can take classes in 2 of those, and as well as theology while you're here. The Mendoza elective actually has been split off, and I'll talk about that in a second. It's not the same program at all to the semester, but again, we still stress those same trips around Ireland, same opportunities to get out and explore the country while you're here, get to go to sports matches and to plays and to concerts, all the cultural enrichment stuff that we think is so important about your semester here, again, is included on that 6-week program. And that those dates for the coming summer are actually the 22nd of May to the 2nd of July. So we have to actually move back from May to July. Concurrently to that, we have an engineering summer program. This is similar to the engineering programs that are run in other locations, except that we, again, emphasize the cultural enrichment piece run through the Gateway. So there's 2 classes and technical electives that you can take. Again, you'll spending a week out in Kylemore, another week on the West Coast, and 4 weeks in Dublin while you're taking those technical electives. And then again, in addition to the cultural enrichment, getting into Irish engineering companies and Irish firms over here, getting to see industry and manufacturing, and just getting your feet wet, and really getting a good look into what those industrial standards are globally, because you will find that you'll be interviewing for jobs when you graduate all across the world. And so we just want to get you that experience as quick as we can. And then, as I mentioned, which I don't think is on the next slide, so I'll talk about it right now, we also have a Mendoza summer program. So Jason Reed in finance comes over to teach managerial econ, and then the folks over in ITAU come over to teach one of their major electives for 3 weeks in July. And so that is another opportunity for any business students. Again, it's that same kind of cultural immersion, cultural enrichment piece on top of the academics. We do keep everyone busy regardless of when you come, either if it's during the semester or during the summer, but that's really the best way to experience Ireland at its fullest. And then the last thing for me before I turn over to Zoe to talk about creative writing is we have a summer internship program that's run by my colleague, Maggie Ariola, who's actually sitting right next to me right now. And it's an 8 to 10 week stipended internship. And we have placements across Irish life. So we have banks and museums, and we have nonprofits, and we have cultural institutions, REUs through laboratories. So really any kind of experience looking for an internship we do have available. Those are listed on Handshake, and that you can apply for those internships through Handshake. And again, that cultural enrichment piece we have there in situ just the same as we would our other programs. And I'll leave it to Zoe to talk about creative writing.
So there's actually also a program, we actually have an engineering program as well. I think it's a separate one. It's from June to July, and it's 3 weeks in Galway and 3 weeks in Kylemore. And it's with Brad Weldon and Jeremy Fine of Geology Ireland. So it's there's a statics part and a geology part. And it's kind of looking at like field sites around Galway and introduction to systems of forces and vector mechanics and all these things that I don't understand, but it looks like it's going to be a really wonderful program, and it's 3 credits each, so it's 6 credits in total. And I can send Sam info on that if anyone is interested. And then, yeah, so we have the creative writing seminar, which is also, it's actually 6 weeks, I think, this year. I don't know if it's 4 or 6, but it's taught with faculty member from Notre Dame. And then we usually have an Irish playwright as well join, and it features like creative writing instruction with lectures, discussions, workshops, a lot of self-work, critiquing, feedback. So it's really for students who are studying English, studying writing, or are really serious about it and want to kind of grow their own work, and also learn from both Irish and American professors. And then Inside Track is for, I don't know, Robert, did you want to talk about Inside Track, or do you want me to? I don't mind either way.
You can, Zoe.
Yeah, so it's sort of, Robert actually might know more about it than I have. I've never actually done it, but it's sort of to grow and learn more about Irish culture, politics through field trips, and just sort of a cultural immersion specific course. So whereas like creative writing and engineering, you have those components of the academic sort of side of things and credit bearing programs, Inside Track is for student who is really interested in Ireland, wants to learn more, wants to go on trips around the country. It's sort of like the cultural enrichment part of study abroad condensed into this program in August. I don't know if you want anything else.
Yeah, no, that was great. Sorry, so I feel like you've been here forever, and I forget that Inside Track hasn't happened. Yeah, so Zoe really hit that right on the ball. We in Ireland understand that students from a variety of backgrounds are interested in coming and spending time here in Ireland, and while we can accept students from almost every academic background, we understand that there are some combinations that might preclude students from studying abroad or feel like they're precluded from studying abroad. If you feel that way, please do come talk to us. We normally can figure out some arrangement. Unless you're an architect, sorry, then you belong to Rome. But other than that, we are always more than happy to talk to you, find some kind of arrangement that will work. But for anyone who can't participate in or doesn't want to participate in a kind of traditional study abroad experience, that Inside Track is a great way to kind of get our distilled cultural enrichment piece across an 8-day program in the summers.
Thank you. All right, so these are the social media handles that I definitely recommend you follow. Today, we actually have a student who is doing a takeover at the main NDI account. I'll put that in the chat. ND International. So students that are doing takeovers to just explain how their day is unfolding in Ireland. And I believe we even have some other students in the UK, but certainly check that out. Right now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to add to the chat the link to the Ireland FAQ document, which is on our website as well. Ireland Study Abroad FAQ. All right, there it is. So that's just a really helpful document of just some of the most common questions that we get, like what's the difference between the programs and things like that. And so definitely check that out. I did want to show a part of our website as well, because I think that it just has a lot of really useful information that I want to make sure that you all can see and have access to. Give me 1 second. So if you visit, can you all see this? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes, perfect. Okay. So I'm on studyabroad.nd.edu. If you go to programs, click on semester, this will just filter out the semester program so that you can just see those. Obviously you can see, right, Dublin, TCD, DCU. You click on this, and I think that a lot of students will stop here. Here's where the FAQ is here. But if you click on learn more and apply, there are so many more details about the program. So concerning academics, the student experience, finances, program logistics, and requirements. This is important because different programs will have different requirements in terms of GPA or majors, like the DCU program, right? And so this is really helpful. I highly, highly recommend that students visit this. The other thing I recommend is if you go under programs again, if you go to this left side, you click on courses, it'll take you to this page. This document is really helpful. However, it can be pretty overwhelming to look at because there's 877 pages. And so I'm currently on a PC, and this is my view. I've had students tell me that if you're on a Mac or even a different version of a PC, it might look different. Regardless, you want to look for these bookmarks or tabs because they can help filter and make the document just more concise and easier to look at. So if you're wondering, okay, what are the courses that are offered in Galway? Just look for the code, or the side panel. Galway is coded as County Galway. So you click on that, and then it takes you to all the classes that students have taken at Galway. However, you aren't limited to just these classes. If you go to the Galway Host University website and you see another history class that you are really interested in taking and it's not on this list, that's okay. this is just a helpful starting point because it gives you an indication of what students have already taken, but you aren't bound to this at all. And so you could do this for any program. Here's DCU, here is UCD, Trinity's down here. And so this is helpful. And so I highly encourage you all to look at this because it is a very useful resource. The other thing I want to point out is information about finances and different scholarships. So whether it's ND funding or non-ND funding, travel and safety, probably for your parents. You know, this, I totally get that you might have some questions about the impact of COVID. And so, yeah, I highly encourage you all to visit the website, poke around in it. Hopefully some of you will join us in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half or so. We're going to have students who are currently in Galway and in Dublin answer some questions about what their experience has been like thus far. And so happy Study Abroad Week. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, please let us know if you have any questions. You can either unmute yourself or put questions in the chat, whatever you'd like to do. Thank you all. Any questions? I'll also put my name and email in the chat, Robert and Zoe, if you don't mind doing the same. That way students
Absolutely.
Can, reach out to us directly.
And as we said, we're more than happy to take questions from you guys whenever. It doesn't, you know, so if the moment doesn't strike you now, you can always shoot us an email. We're always more than happy to either answer that email or to set up a chat with you and do it that way.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Zoe, if you could talk more about Ultimate that's in Ireland, because I play Ultimate here, so that's super exciting.
You might know my friend from Galway who plays Aiden Boyd.
Oh yeah, I recognize that name.
Yeah, he's from Galway. Yeah, so Ultimate is still a new enough sport in Ireland. It's only really been, I'd say, been around for about 20 years, maybe less than 20 years, but the college scene is very big and the club scene is small compared to the US, but it's very tight knit and there are a lot of like rivalries and stuff. It's great though. Like college ultimate is really fun. It's very different from the States, I think, in that, well, I don't know about Notre Dame, but when I played it in college in the States as well. And it was more serious. I think here, like it is serious and you have serious tournaments, but there are a lot of like really fun tournaments where there's like a themed party and it's a great way to get to know people. So you travel around a lot for tournaments. And you just get to know the community around the country. And then if you wanted to play club teams play all year round. So I play on the Galway club team and I'm on the Irish women's team as well. So there are tons of different levels. You can ask, if you want to talk to Aiden Boyd, actually, he's a good person to ask, but it's really great. It's really, really fun.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Training's usually twice a week. So you have time for other things as well.
Any other questions? If not, it's okay. You can always email us or check out the website. It's all right. I don't mind sticking around in case people do have questions. So thank you all for joining us. Happy Study Abroad Week. I hope that you're able to
Friday.
yeah. Happy Friday. Thank you all.